Hey everybody, it is Howard the Condo Man, and today I'm going to talk about owning a place in Florida as a Canadian. So, believe it or not, I've owned a place in Hallandale Beach, Florida for I think 10 years now. It's not like everyone else thinks that it is. So, first of all, it's incredible, I have to say. Being able to not be in the cold weather is the best thing in the world, at least for me. I like to bike. It's great to be at the ocean. It's great to be at the pool. And the actual lifestyle component of it is incredible. Now, I will say the Florida market has been really, really weird since I owned it. It really did not go up at all in the first 7 years until COVID, at which point it doubled during COVID in value. Same thing goes for the rent, same thing goes for the price. At the time that I bought in a building that I really liked, which I still do. I still think it's amazing in an area that I really liked, and I really based my decision on that. But also, I wanted a building that allowed short-term rentals. So the short-term rental thing is fine. You get some revenue, but I will tell you it is much harder to find a tenant in the off season than it is in winter time when you probably want to be there. So I do find I have vacancies for every year. I'd say an average of 3 or 4 months, and that's not including the time that I'm there. So overall, it's probably only rented 6 months out of the year. It's hard to get a mortgage in Florida as a Canadian, and when you do get a mortgage, it's usually terrible terms. Other things are also they're better now, but when I first bought, you couldn't pay with your Canadian Visa card. You can pay anything with a Canadian Visa card. You have to get an American Visa card. You need an American bank account. I'm honestly late with the payments all the time because I have to figure out how to pay them from Canada. Any problem you have, there's always a barrier to fixing it because you're not in the same city, because you're not in the same country. I'll just give you an example. FPL, which is Florida Power and Lighting, which is who you pay electricity to, every time that a tenant opens an account and then I have to reopen my own account, they charge me $250 just because I'm out of country as a deposit. And then usually I get it back at the end if I remember. If I don't remember, then they just leave it there forever. There's a lot of weird things. At first, when you sign into FPL, you can only sign in with your social security number, which obviously you don't have as a Canadian. There were a lot of hurdles in the beginning that have now become much simpler, but there's still a level. There's still a barrier of communication between being Canadian and having a place in the U.S. You have to reconnect your cable every time. Like I like having NBA TV. I have to go back to the store and return the box. There's a bunch of headaches that you have. Um, you know, if you have kids, you have to keep them in school in Canada. You're not going to be able to go for 4 months of the year. Um, so I think for most people at this point, it's probably better just to rent something temporarily. The price of owning is very high. Condominium fees are very high in the luxury buildings. Very, very, very high. And there's a lot of special assessments in Florida, a lot more than here, I should also say. So has it worked out for me? Yes. The best part of owning in Florida is it forces you to go every year. You don't think about it, you know you're going. And it forces you to make a plan headed in that direction. The other nice thing, I leave stuff there. There's a cupboard that I can lock when I'm not there. I have a bike there, and I'm used to it. That is really the most compelling reason to buy rather than rent. Other than that, because you have a vacancy typically for so long during the year and you have to fix things, it's probably cheaper to rent. Anyways, that's my take on buying something in Florida. Unless you're going to be there um, in the future full time, that may change things. But in the short term, just to go in the winter time, I think it might be better to rent, unless buying is going to force you to go and force you to be in that mindset, which it did for me. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers.